It's shocking. I was shocked. And when I told John, he sat up. He sat up and went, wait, what? And his jaw kind of, whoa. See there? Is that a good spot? Let's see. It's December, friends. Hey everyone, I'm Andy. Welcome to Furniture Fables. 2023 is wrapping up and I am doing probably what a lot of you are doing. I'm kind of taking a moment to look back over the year and think about how this year went, especially in terms of my business here at Furniture Fables. What worked, what didn't, what surprised me, what goals did I meet, what goals did I not meet? And then, of course, after looking at all of that information and mulling it over and chewing on it thoroughly, using it to help me as I am plotting and planning and scheming and for 2024. Just planning. I'm not plotting. Well, maybe a little. One of the surprises is that here at the end of the year, I decided to suddenly throw how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 pieces up onto Facebook Marketplace for sale. And well, I thought you might be kind of curious to know the story behind that and what has happened so far. So if you're in the mood for a kind of fiscal fable, this is the one for you. 2023, it went a little bit differently than I had planned. Pause for laughter. Of course, things go differently than you plan. Let me just back you up and give you a tiny bit of context. The day after Christmas 2022, John and I and the kids and the dogs are in the car. And we're driving up to my mom and dad's house.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la.
Where we will meet with my sister and other family members and have what is affectionately referred to as second Christmas at Grandma's.
'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la.
Because yes, these kids are just that lucky.
Take it, Russ. Fa la 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 la.
And on that ride, it's quite a little journey. So there's some time. And so John and I had time to chat about Furniture Fables and just how things had gone in 22 and what my goals were for 23. And I absolutely knew that my number one goal for 2023 was to just make more content, more fables for you here. Post more consistently, post more content for you. The other big goal or idea I had for 2023 was to try my hand at launching an Etsy store, to set that up and see what it would be like to try to sell furniture pieces through that platform. Both of those goals were not achieved. Instead, something else interjected. The theater! It turned out that in 2023, I had 4 amazing projects in theater. I was able to be on stage at the beginning of the year performing a role that was just so much fun in this very unknown little show called Triumph of Love, and I got to sing the standout song in that show that was performed by Miss Betty Buckley on Broadway. The song is called Serenity. That was an amazing experience. And then quickly on the heels of that, I was asked to be a projections designer for a production of The Crucible. I got to create an original little short film piece that helped introduce the setting of The Crucible to the audience. Right after that, I was hired to vocal direct Rent. And overlapping with Rent, I vocal directed Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein, which if you need a good laugh and that show is playing near you, go check it out. It's hilarious. So the goal of posting every week did not occur. I wouldn't change things because that meant a lot to me. This year meant a lot to me to get to do that much in theater. But poor Furniture Fables kind of took it on the chin a little bit. So, okay, with that sort of context in mind, let's take a look at what I did do and kind of talk through it a little bit. My first project was that little mini table, and I did not list that one for sale. That one was just like an opportunity to play and just experiment. I tried that little kind of blended peekaboo thing with the paper on the top and a little bit of copper leaf. The table is actually over here in this room right now. It looks pretty next to the amber colored curtains. Looks kind of nice. Looks kind of cute. It's a teeny tiny little table, not for sale. The second piece was that piece I called Floral Riot. That was that mid-century modern tiered table. That was the one where I decided to go completely against the grain of that table's design style and just blanket it in a floral chintz pattern inspired by an actual floral chintz piece that I have. That one I didn't list, but put into storage. Okay, so that one's over there waiting for the Etsy shop. Yeah. The next Fable was the solid pine folk art desk. I did actually list. My out-of-pocket cost for that folk art desk was $62 and it sold for $375. And so my net profit was $313. The next Fable was Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, darling! Whoa. Nothing for sale, but lots of fun. What time is it? I thought you'd want to get the most out of the day. The fifth Fable of 23 was the waterlogged little table.
Someone left the cake out in the rain.
Yes, Biff's table. Right, the one that got left out in the rain. The waterlogged black table, I did actually list. I listed it for $275 in June, and then I promptly forgot about it. I never renewed the listing. I never checked on it. I 100% forgot. I didn't think I had it listed until about 3 weeks ago when someone messaged me and said, "Hi, is it available? I love it. I'll buy it. Can I buy it?" And I went, "Oh, that's for sale, right." I got it out of storage, gave it one little tiny paint touch up. My out-of-pocket cost for that one was $74 and it sold for $275. So the profit on that little table was $201. Surprise! I forgot it was for sale. Number 6 was the 80s TV stand, which I turned into a little nursery nightstand. That was the one that I painted in that really pretty light blue. I think it's Little Whale by Fusion, and I did that little foresty stencil on those front oak doors that I gave a little white wash to. That one I also thought might do better on an Etsy shop, and so I put that one into storage. Okay, number 7 was the little vintage chair that I did for my daughter. That was the one that I did in the AMSR, audio ASMR. Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response is a relaxing, often sedative sensation that begins on the scalp and moves down the body. Also known as a brain massage. Well, I don't know if mine was a brain massage, but I hope so. Anywho, that one was for my daughter, not for sale. She is still enjoying that chair. Well, she's off at college, but when she comes home, she enjoys her chair. Fine, just go to college. I forgot to turn my Christmas tree on. Ah, there it is. You can see it, that mirror, bouncing off of that mirror. It's actually that way. Mirrors. So a house of mirrors in here a little bit. Okay, Fable number 8 was the kind of trash to treasure coffee table.
Darling!
Why are you calling me on this line? You know it's only for emergencies.
Because, darling, I can hear the dark circles and backache from here.
My back does not hurt.
That one I also put aside, kind of put into storage, but not because I had any plans to use it as part of an Etsy launch. It was just more that I didn't know what to do with it. If you saw that Fable, you know I struggled with the idea of whether or not I should even try to sell that coffee table. I used that actually really cool contact paper. It is heat resistant and waterproof, high quality for what it is, but not exactly a finished material I would typically expect to see on the top of a piece. So I put that into storage. Okay, next was the living bench, Fable number 9. This living bench, whoo!
Darling, oh darling, it's time to wake up. It's time to get up and do that thing in the garage.
The internet had some feelings about this bench. I turned the living bench Fable into a short as well. And you gotta watch out for the shorts, friends. It's a different audience. And they had feelings. So the living bench was not for sale. All right. Number 10 was the Swedish pine. So many layers of paint, so many layers. That piece, of course, is going to stay with us. So again, that one is not for sale. Number 11 was the walnut veneer dresser that came to me from my friend Sandy. And that one, oh, I love that one. Honestly, you know, the beauty of that piece was its veneer that I was able to save. But when that veneer sprang back to life, look out, nothing could touch it. It was, mwah, chef's kiss. Oh, and that's not me, that's the walnut tree. A walnut veneer like that, I can't compete with it. What I was happy I was able to do was save it and let it shine again. I was so pleased with how that one turned out, and Sandy and her husband came and picked it up just last week, and I am so happy they did give me something for it. There was a bit of a struggle of money being shoved back and forth across the table, but they gave me something for it. But that's not because they're too nice. They're too nice. They wouldn't let me just give it to them. They're the best people in the world. The next one was the white dresser that followed, right? That I wanted so much to kind of do in the same style that I had just done Sandy's dresser. And unfortunately, I met up with all of that black markings that were just embedded into the wood. My latest theory is that someone attempted to ebonize the wood. So it's an actual deliberate attempt to kind of add these kind of markings into the wood, perhaps to give the wood more drama, more movement, etc. Make it maybe look sort of like tiger oak or something like that. It did not work, in my opinion, for this dresser. And so I chose to paint it. Well, recently there's been a lot of talk about how white furniture is just absolutely out. Usually when people start talking about things being out and this is terrible, that's when I get the urge to do that very thing. I think I have a bit of a rebellious side in me. So I painted this one white. It was a soft white. It's just a classic dresser. And I think choosing to paint it the way that I did was the right choice for that dresser to save it and give it a chance to have another chapter of its life. That one went into the Etsy storage. Okay, number 13 was the Dark Academia desk.
Beth! Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
You screamed like really loudly.
that scared the pain out of me.
And kind of like a girl. Where I leaned into the dark side.
Well, Painterly, you can't be too careful on Halloween night.
Painted it in that coal black and used that really cool botanical paper kind of as a highlight punch. That one also went into the Etsy store. Number 14 was the secretary that I did, kind of inspired by some anthropology pieces that I had recently been kind of lusting after, and my anthropology lampshade. Yes, I know, I love my lampshade. Something clicked in my brain and I thought, well, I'm just gonna throw this one up onto Facebook Marketplace. I don't know why, because I had thought all along, yeah, that'll go into the Etsy storage. Instead, I flung it up onto Facebook Marketplace and I listed it for, what did I list it for? For $625. My cost for that one was $73 and it sold for $625 and it sold pretty quickly, just under 3 weeks. This one had 263 clicks on the listing and 11 listing saves. So this little secretary desk, I think, was highly sellable. This is interesting to me because I thought maybe, they would be harder to sell, but I think remade, they can do pretty well. The person who bought this said she knew melange paints and knew that exact color. So picking colors is important because, obviously that makes a big difference. And that one just worked. It was highly sellable, apparently. Interesting. Note to self. Okay, the 15th Fable was the dining room zhuzh. If you haven't seen the dining room makeover, what are you waiting for? I mean, you get to see a room transform, and I tell the story of when I got trapped in a chair. I was trapped in this chair. I would be stuck there today. I would have passed in that chair, and that would have been terribly humiliating. This is top-notch quality entertainment value. My husband started laughing and I was panicking. I mean, where else are you gonna find that? There's the chair. I got trapped in one of these chairs. So check out the dining room, it's kind of fun. And number 16, the last Fable of the year was my hair trimming. And the ugliest bathroom in the world poll of whether or not you would like to see that remodel. And the almost unanimous, I would say I think it's unanimous. The answer was yes, please make over. I heard some concern in there. Make over your bathroom, Andy. Just do it for you. Don't worry about us. Just make over that bathroom. Also, yes, we would like to see what you do. It's a humdinger, that bathroom. The people have spoken, and so it's being slotted in for 24, early 24. So here's what happened. I was looking over at my collection of furniture and thinking, oh yeah, I was going to do an Etsy store this year. Theater. A past customer of mine reached out to me and said, hey Andy, do you have anything for sale right now? So I wrote up a sheet with all of the specs, and while she was kind of, looking it over, and I sent her pictures, and then I just thought to myself, okay, gosh, I've done all the listing work. I've got all the specs, everything's here. Maybe I should just put all this stuff up on Facebook Marketplace here in November. Why not? What harm could come from it, right? I had either listed briefly and they didn't sell, and so I put them into storage, or I never bothered to list them as well, kind of with this same Etsy idea in the back of my head. So the other pieces that I listed were that mahogany side table that I did. I used my carbide scraper to get that really dark, glossy finish off, and revealed that absolutely incredible, stunning, warm mahogany. And another one that I had been saving was the paint pour table. Remember that one? And the other one that I also listed was my peony pink vintage dresser. let's start by comparing the two coffee tables. We've got that paint pour coffee table with a green base and that very beachy kind of whitewash vintage coffee table. Now, let me just say that I really had mixed feelings about listing that coffee table that had that contact paper on it, but I wanted to list it just to kind of see how it would do. I was just kind of curious. And so check this out. This is really, really interesting. I listed the beachy coffee table for $195. So it has been up for sale just over a week, about 8 or 9 days. And it is kind of sleepy. It's had 18 clicks in that time, 2 listing saves. Let's compare it to the other coffee table. The super cool paint pour coffee table, which was the title that I gave it, I listed for $185. Originally, I was thinking more like $275, but I cut that down and slashed it. Why? Because it has a scratch on it. During the time that I stored it, somehow a furniture blanket must have not worked and it got a little scratch in it. So I listed it for $185, disclosing that there was a scratch and including a picture of that scratch. It's been up a little bit longer. I don't know how I did that, for 3 weeks compared to about 8 or 9 days. So, you know, longer. And in that time, it has received 118 clicks and 5 listing saves. So we have 2 coffee tables, same price point, $195, $185. One is vintage solid wood. It's whitewashed, it's neutral. It would go with anything. They both have 2 tiers. And we have this paint pour coffee table, very strong color choice. People have feelings about green. This paint pour top, it has a scratch on it. And yes, this one's had more time, but 118 to 20. That's quite a spread. That's interesting. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, let's go to our next sleepiest pieces, the serpentine white dresser. Oh, so sleepy. It has been up a little over a week. It has had 13 clicks. 13 people have clicked on it and 0 saves. And I am not terribly surprised. Why? Well, let me tell you. There are a lot of pieces that look like this dresser. It's listed for $600. Am I listing it incorrectly? Is it just not an ideal piece for Facebook Marketplace? Not quite sure. Let's move on. The next kind of sleepy one is this solid oak dark academia desk. Since it has been up, it has had 18 clicks as well. And no saves, 0. Something is off about that listing. Maybe I need to take new pictures, or my price point is just wrong for this desk, or it could just be that the design is just not appealing enough to sell quickly on Facebook Marketplace. I think eventually it will sell. I have missed the mark a little bit with it, either in its design or in its price point, or it's just luck of the draw. It didn't get the traction and it's just kind of buried and it needs time. It could just be that it needs some more time. Let's take a look at the modern nursery nightstand. The modern nursery nightstand that I made from that 80s TV stand has actually done pretty well. It has not sold, but it has received 51 clicks in just over a week and 6 listing saves. That's a pretty good amount, and it's a pretty good indication that it has a good chance to sell. Now, I have listed this singular nightstand at $225, which is pretty gutsy. It could be that this is too ambitious of a price, but I don't think so. I don't think so. It's unique, it's different, and I think it is good to let it ride because it's getting interest. I think it's worth letting it sit. Let's compare that to the pink vintage dresser. Obviously, the nightstand that I made was designed with kind of a nursery or little child's room in mind. The pink vintage dresser I saw as something that could go in an older kid's room, but I think it's mostly going to attract folks who have a little baby girl. I just think that's what it's probably going to do. It's gotten 86 clicks on the listing and 6 listing saves. I can tell you this is a piece that people look at it and they are just kind of gobsmacked, but it has yet to sell. That may be because of its size. It's not quite big enough to act as a changing table for an infant, but it's a little bit on the larger side for a nightstand. I have it listed at $475, and I think that is the right price point for it. Although it could be that it needs to be higher. I know that's kind of a crazy idea, but I will talk to you more about what I mean by that in just a sec. Okay, then someone just messaged me about the paint pour table. Okay, so what do we have left? Yes, these 2 side tables. Okay, so we have that mahogany side table. Originally, I had thought I would list this table for $275, but when I pulled it out to look at it for my repeat customer, I gave it a good, wipe down. It was in perfect condition. And I got out some Wise Owl furniture salve. If you'll remember, I originally sealed it and conditioned it with some hemp oil from Fusion. This salve by Wise Owl is also hemp based, and I gave it another full coating of salve. My goodness, this thing just glowed. It's so gorgeous. It's got that spoonflower designer wallpaper. It's kind of that Art Deco, Art Nouveau, I don't know the difference, wallpaper on the back for kind of just this very unexpected hit of style and design. It's a cool table, really well made. After I looked at it, I said, this table should be more than $275, and so I listed it for $375, and my repeat customer decided to purchase it. So that was wonderful news, and it's a beautiful table, and I think she's really going to enjoy it. That table was only up on the marketplace for 2 days, and in that time it only received 4 clicks and 1 listing save. Not that repeat customer. That's good in that 25% of the people who clicked on it saved it, but it had kind of a quiet response. But again, it was only up there for 2 days. So it's kind of hard to interpret that. However, let's look at the other table. The other table, the Floral Riot, the mid-century modern table that I blanketed in that chintz pattern, was listed at this exact same time, and my repeat customer decided to purchase that table as well. So she purchased 2 pieces, the mahogany side table and the mid-century modern Floral Riot table. That one was also listed for 2 days, and it was listed for $500. $500. I remember when I finished that Fable, I was talking to you about what I might list it for. I think it's gonna be up there. I shared about it was 12 hours of stenciling, approximately 12 hours stenciling, 12 hours stenciling, just the stenciling. And I can still feel it. Yep, there it is. There's that stenciling right there. I said, this piece is really starts to cross over into perhaps a piece of art. It's sculptural. The piece itself is sculptural. And then we've got this absolutely antithetical design just covering the whole thing. When I listed it, its title for the listing was Irreverent Pop Art MCM Side Table. So the first word was irreverent. The first line of the description is stunningly subversive, maximalist, vintage 1960s pop art side table. So I used words like irreverent, subversive, pop art. All of those were cues, of course, to say this is something unique, it's different, it's one of a kind. It's not just a side table. And I listed it for $500 on Facebook Marketplace. How dare I? How dare I do that? That is not, well. And you know what? It received in 2 days, it was listed for 2 days before it was marked sold. 2 days, 57 clicks, and 7 listing saves. 7. 57 looks in 2 days for Floral Riot for $500 on Facebook Marketplace. I was shocked. I was blown away by this. This is really, really interesting. When I told John, he went, wait, what? What? He kind of sat up, and this is really weird and really, really interesting. I think that if my repeat customer had not purchased Floral Riot, it would have sold on Facebook Marketplace for the asking price. Those numbers, that's what they suggest, at least. Looking at the pieces that sold and looking at the pieces that haven't sold yet, but the insights that the marketplace is giving me in terms of how many people are looking at them, how many people are saving them, how many people are messaging me with questions about them. The one thing I can take away is the more unique, the more interesting, and sometimes the more expensive the piece, the more attention it's getting. It's the ones that are a little bit special, a little unique, a little bit different, or a lot different, and the ones that were priced the highest. I've seen this before as well. Remember Painterly and Biff, the furniture pieces, not the people. They both listed and sold very, very, very quickly. Painterly, the top of the china cabinet, sold for $600, and Biff, the bottom with that herringbone inlay, sold for $850 on Facebook Marketplace within a couple of days. Here is my wacky theory. I have this theory. In the world of pricing for work like this, there's something called the sticky middle. If something is really a bargain, it's a great price, and it's a very, very accessible price within the reach of a lot of people, it will get a lot of attention. If something is pretty cool and parked right in the middle, something about that is less interesting to us. It's less desirable. It seems less special. There's something there. If the price is just high enough, it can't be too high, but if it's just high enough, there's a different level of respect for the work. The encouraging thing to me is that even on Facebook Marketplace, which gets a good amount of shade thrown at it, there appear to be people actually looking for local artists who are trying to sell their creations, and they are interested and willing to take a look at things that are not dirt cheap. And I think people want interesting, unique, one-of-a-kind, truly one-of-a-kind creations. They are looking for those things. That is something that people throughout history have loved, the idea of folk art. And in a way, artistic furniture flipping can really be considered a part of that. And what this end of the year Facebook Marketplace blast launch sale thing has shown me is that the more unique and interesting looking my pieces are, generally speaking, not always, but this seems to be the trend, the more they seem likely to sell. As it stands, I'm really glad that I went ahead and I listed pieces. Now I truly have space to let the ones that are gonna take a little bit more time to sell to just hang out and get sold in the time that they need. And I have a little more room to create some more things as well. I hope you enjoyed this year in review fiscal Fable of 23. And as for 2024, I'm bringing it. I am bringing it. No more theater. Probably. I hope you'll be happy to hear that I have a message here from the As the Paint Dries cast. They are saying that there is still one more Fable to come this year, apparently. It is apparently in the iconic holiday style that rhymes with Schmalmark. And I gotta get going so I can actually bring this to you before Christmas. Thanks so much for joining me, my friends. I will see you next time for more Furniture Fables.